Welcome to the 2020 Methodist College Alumni Association annual meeting. Usually I would have the pleasure of addressing you in person, but this has been an unprecedented year, so we're getting by the best we can. When the pandemic first became widespread back in March, the governor of Illinois ordered all schools closed for in-person classes. This occurred not only in Illinois, but in many states across the nation. Our students had just returned back from spring break on a Friday. On that Friday, I asked our faculty to be ready in 1 week to start teaching all of the face-to-face classes online. While many schools extended their spring breaks 2 or 3 weeks to allow faculty time to convert courses to online instruction, our faculty were ready in 2 days. They didn't need all of the week I requested. No other school that I know of accomplished this so quickly. We have an awesome faculty and staff who made this possible. We also stopped hospital clinicals in April 2020. The remaining clinical instruction for the semester was done virtually using online assignments. Not all schools stopped clinical instruction, nor was that required, but with all hospital operations except for the emergency department and COVID units on hold, there were not enough patients to send the nursing students to the hospitals for instruction. We also extended the withdrawal deadline for the spring semester to May 1st, with no penalty for not completing a nursing course to continue in the program. Several students took us up on this opportunity, but we still had no more students withdraw in the spring of 2020 than a normal spring semester. All students scheduled to graduate in May of 2020 were able to do so on time. Likewise, all students desiring to complete the semester to progress on to the summer term did so too. There was some delays for students taking the NCLEX exam this summer, but that was out of our hands. It was due to the agency contracted by the state to process the paperwork for NCLEX students, closing down their operations for a while in April and May and then going to reduce workload. So some of our students were delayed 1 or 2 months in taking the NCLEX exam, but all of them did eventually take it, and we're happy to say that we're still holding around a 90% NCLEX first-time pass rate. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we had the second largest summer school attendance in the history of the school in 2020. We started the summer online just as we ended the spring term, but converted many courses to face-to-face by midsummer. With patient census numbers rising, we were able to resume face-to-face clinical activities at the Unity Point Health hospitals. We had some of the largest graduating classes in December 2019 and May 2020 in the school history, including awarding our first 4 social work bachelor's degrees this spring. May graduation was postponed until August, where we combined a commencement ceremony for both the spring and the summer graduates. We modified the ceremony, which we held here in the Parliament, such that only one student and their family could enter the auditorium at a time for each student's diploma, award, and pinning. You can find a video of that graduation exercise on the Methodist College Facebook page. Our December commencement will be conducted in the same manner to maintain social distancing. College attendance is down nationwide due to the pandemic. Some schools are reporting 25 to 40% fewer students. With our large 2019-2020 graduating classes and the fact that our new incoming student numbers are lower than the previous 4 years, we are down approximately 100 students from this time last year. This amounts to a 14% decrease over the record enrollment we had in the fall of 2019. Most of the decline was in our pre-licensure 4-year Bachelor of Science nursing program. We are not sure how much of the decrease was actually due to the pandemic, but we are fortunate not to have a much larger decline like other schools. Since you are our best recruiters, we hope you will help us identify future nursing students to rebuild our numbers. We are back to face-to-face classes this semester with rigorous modifications to campus operations to ensure everyone's health and safety. We are doing temperature screening and health assessments of everyone entering the building. We require masking at all times on the campus except in personal offices. Students are wearing PPE during clinicals. Classrooms, labs, computer rooms, and lounge seats are spaced 6 feet apart. We have added technology to our classrooms to stream audio and video to other classrooms for classes that cannot be socially distanced enough to seat all the students in one room, and for students who are sick or have been exposed to COVID-19 to attend class live from home, interactively. We also have more hand sanitizer stations in the building than we've ever had, which is helping to keep people safe. The college received more than $800,000 this year from the CARES Act, mostly from the U.S. Education Department. $368,002 went directly to students in the form of no strings attached grants in May and June. The rest went for technology in the classrooms and health screening personnel needs. We also received a private donation this summer of $250,000 to help nursing students who are graduating this academic year pay their tuition bills without needing loans. This donation benefited more than 100 students by supplementing federal and state grants they received for their education. Finally, on another positive note, our proposed Bachelor of Science degree in Medicine and Life Sciences was approved by the Higher Learning Commission, who accredits the college. We're planning to start this degree program in the fall of 2021. Thank you for all of your support for Methodist College. I wish you a very healthy rest of 2020.
Okay, ladies, sit back and relax with your favorite beverage and listen up as we relive the escapades of the Methodist Hospital School of Nursing class of 1970. Our time machine takes us back to June 11th, 1967, when 58 excited and bewildered young ladies moved into the 5th floor of Williams Hall at Bradley University. This was the beginning of a nursing career, and we were going to make things happen. That summer at Bradley, we took English, psychology, sociology. Marie Howard remembers that during the summer, a few of the nursing students got together and formed a folk singing group called the Crescents. This talented group went on to sing at the state convention of the Student Nurses Association of Illinois in Chicago during their junior year. In August, we continued attending class at Bradley, but began our real nursing classes at the hospital. Susie Massaro remembers how we would all walk together to Bradley. We love walking to class in all types of weather, several days a week. But don't forget, always we made it back in time to watch Dark Shadows on TV. Marcia Morris says the moving into Crestlawn was life-changing for her. This 4-story old house could really tell some great stories. She remembers that Mrs. Miller had many challenges with the rowdy class of 1970. Do you remember the beautiful wooden stairway that had a water fountain at the bottom of it? One night, several classmates decided to do a gravity experiment and see if a water balloon dropped from the 4th floor could reach the water fountain on the 1st floor. Yes, it did, and what a splash it made. However, no one thought that Mrs. Miller, our house mother, would be sitting at her desk, which was very close to that water fountain. Does anybody remember the reaction? Girls, look what has happened. Everyone scattered back to their rooms and intense studying ensued. Poor Mrs. Miller. She climbed all those stairs and went floor to floor, trying to find out who dropped the balloon, and all she found were diligent students studying in their rooms. Our first event as a freshman student was to be given our caps. Wow, what a rude awakening that was. We went to Heydrich Hall and were given a flimsy piece of white material, sort of like your dad's handkerchief. We were then given instructions on how to starch this piece of cloth and stick it to a flat surface. Once it dried, you could peel it off and fold it into what should look like a nurse's cap. We must have figured it out because on September 19th, we proudly donned our stiff uniforms, the blue check dress with the white apron, and reported for a tour of the hospital. The freshman year left us with some wonderful and some not so wonderful memories. Attempting to learn everyone's name, meeting our big sisses for the first time, striving to make a wrinkle-free bed, oversleeping, learning that our new friend, Mrs. Chase, remember her? She was the mannequin that we used for training. And we had to administer that first marvelous injection. The highlight of our freshman experience was parading through Steak and Shake with our IV poles, bedpans, wheelchairs for our initiation by the seniors. Don't forget our pageant entitled The Light of Humanity. This was an assignment for our History of Nursing class taught by Miss Fry. We were each asked to portray a leading character in nursing history. A few of the characters that were portrayed were Jenny Hubach did Phoebe, Marie Howard was Millie, and Kay Phillips was Dorothea Dix. Our freshman year, we were also required to attend a tea at Miss Fry's house. She was the director of the School of Nursing and Nursing Service for the hospital. We were not happy when she instructed us that we would each have to wear a hat and gloves to her tea. By June, we were ready for moving up day. We had laughed, we had cried, and celebrated many of our successes and failures as freshmen. Now it was time, or at least we thought it was time, to add the crimson stripes to our white nurses' caps, and we would become juniors. We made this transition with confidence and fears. However, many of our memories were renewed as we helped our little sisses through the freshman year. Becoming a junior also meant that we moved to Helen House with the senior class. This dorm was connected to the hospital by a tunnel. Sandy Lehman recalls she and her fellow students taking extra pieces of pie from the hospital cafeteria, wrapped in napkins, and stuffed in the pockets of that big blue coat with the red lining that we were assigned. That coat was also great for wearing over PJs when you just needed one more snack when you began to study at 10 o'clock at night. Remember the Helen House fire drills that would force us to go out on the sidewalk in front of the dorm right on Hamilton Boulevard. We couldn't return to the dorm until the fire captain said it was okay. This did not set well with us, so one fire drill, we decided to get revenge. The alarm went off at 9:30, and most of us were either in the shower, studying in our PJs, or sleeping. Like good girls, we went out to the sidewalk on Hamilton and waited to be released. Once we were told we could return to our rooms, we decided to pack the elevator. We had so many of us on the elevator that it stalled between floors, and we couldn't get out. Of course, that meant that Otis Elevator Maintenance had to come assist us in getting out. Some of us were not dressed for jumping down out of an elevator into the waiting arms of a maintenance man. But I must tell you that many years later, when I was working in the cath lab at the hospital, I was getting a patient ready for the cardiac cath, and he was wearing an Otis elevator shirt. I asked how long he had worked for the company, and he said he was now retired, but he did also enjoy telling me that one of his best memories with the company was a nighttime call he received about some student nurses caught in an elevator. We went through great details about how we helped rescue those nurses. At this point, I had to confess that I was one of those students on the elevator. We both had a good laugh and continued getting him ready for the cath. Oh yes, we can't forget Martha Cooch building the snowman on the roof of Helen House. No one realized that the patients on the Hamilton wing of the hospital could watch it being built. Security was called, and by the time they arrived, Nobody had been on the roof. Weekends at Helen House were very quiet and boring, since most of you guys went home. When we were seniors, we decided to sell Helen House. On Friday night, we used Martha's car, which was a Lincoln with those suicide doors, to complete our mission. We drove around the neighborhood collecting 12 for sale signs, then placed them in Helen House's front yard. We came down to the lobby at noon on Saturday on our way to the hospital for lunch. The house mother, Mrs. France, spelled F-R-A-N-C-E, just like the country. She was frantic. She had seen our masterpiece, and she was not happy. We told her that we had no idea who would have pulled a stunt like that, as we tried to keep from laughing. She had started to call the realtors to ask them to pick up their signs, and no one ever found out who participated in that adventure. Don't forget that in Helen House there was just one payphone in the entire floor. That phone was located just as you get off of the elevator. Barb Boyd and I felt like the official operators for the floor, since we were answering at all the calls. Then we would yell down the hall for the person to come answer their phone call. However, we did hear some really juicy conversations, and that wasn't half bad. Our junior year saw us traveling to an 8-week pediatric rotation at Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago. For many of us, this was our first time visiting the Windy City. Each Friday, the faculty had a tea for us, and attendance was required before we could leave for the weekend. Weekends found us going shopping on Michigan Avenue, seeing movies, traveling home by train, or going to the beach. Linda Scott remembers waking up one morning with a red rash and the staff saying that she would have to go home because they were sure she had scarlet fever. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but it did cause her parents to have to make 2 extra trips to Chicago. This was also a time of race riots in the city, so we tried to stay safe and keep our parents from worrying. Lynn Phillips said that during the affiliation, their group of students celebrated the completion of half of their curriculum with a halfway party. They went to a restaurant and the theater. The junior year also had us living in Peoria State Hospital and Bartonville for 8 weeks. We had a small cottage on the hospital grounds, which was used as our dorm, and we ate in the cafeteria with the patients. If you remember, that food was really good. We each picked a patient for our case study and observed the many types of treatments they used in psychiatry. Along with this, we were required to write a journal of our experiences with our patients. Mrs. Johnson was the instructor for this rotation, and she would always say, "What makes you feel this way?" We hated that. Many times we wanted to tell her just how we felt, but that would require using words that wasn't appropriate. Upon returning from Bartonville, we were told that we needed an 8 weeks psych clinical, and it would be at Zeller's Zone Clinic in Peoria. There we got to work with children.
We must not forget the faculty and house mothers that influenced our education and inspired us to be dedicated nurses. The faculty was vital to our success. You mentioned some of them on your memory forms. Mrs. Nelda Carroll, she was the Assistant Director of Nursing. Mrs. Sue Beechler, Maternity. Mrs. Kay Griggs, Fundamentals of Nursing. Chaplain Johnson, Mrs. Joyce Smith, Maternity. Mrs. Louise Guest, she was the Director of Nursing for the school our junior and senior year, and Mrs. Shoemate, our OR instructor. Many of you mentioned our house mothers too. Mrs. Miller, Mrs. France, and Mrs. Krause, who treated us like her grandchildren. We could participate in many organizations and activities while in school. Student Council, Quatrefoil, which was our yearbook, the Stethoscope, our student newspaper, Whitecap Chorus, Nightingale's Band, and Sinai, which was the Student Nurses Association of Illinois. Would you believe our junior year was completed and it was time for moving up day again? This time we are the seniors. We proudly put the black stripe on our cap along with our class pin. Our senior year saw the school change uniforms. We no longer wore a checked dress with an apron. We changed to a blue dress with a white collar. As seniors, we did rotations in CCU, ICU, leadership, and ER. Our challenge was learning to start that first successful IV. Some of our senior year memories include the school carnival, which we entitled Kaleidoscope Capers. Sandy House being named Student Nurse of the Year. Senior Skit Night, the 100-day party where we chanted, "Hark the herald seniors shout, 100 more days and we'll be out." And the next day was declared Skip Day. The Doctor's Dinner Dance was held at the Peoria Country Club, and this was our chance to dress up and look like real ladies. While being a student nurse, we were not allowed to be married. At this point, we won't discuss the classmates that bent the rules just a little and chose to get hitched during that last semester of school. A few of us became engaged during the last semester, and the candle lighting ceremony became quite the event. Before we knew it, it was time to prepare for graduation. And for graduation, everyone wore the same white uniform with the hem a specific length below the knee. White hose, white nurse's shoes, and our caps with a black stripe on it. The night before graduation, we were required to dress in our uniform and have the hem checked for length for faculty approval. Graduation was held at the First United Methodist Church on Saturday, June 6, 1970. Our class song was "To Everything There Is a Season." Graduation was over, and the biggest hurdle was yet to be met, our state board exams. Later in June, we all traveled to Chicago by train to complete 2 days of testing in 5 different categories. And would you believe we were required to wear dresses to state board exams? Even though we were all nervous about taking boards, we decided that having a little fun in Chicago was a great idea for stress relief. Boards were completed, goodbyes were said, and everyone headed home to wait for results. Some of us started our first nursing jobs, and others decided to wait for their board results before starting that first job. And here we are 50 years later in a pandemic, and we can't celebrate our reunion together. We miss seeing each other and reminiscing about the friendships we quickly developed as naive young ladies. Marcy Morris says she can't imagine how her life would have turned out without these memories. Linda Bressner said her favorite memory is the friendship she made with her classmates in the 3 years at school, and she regrets losing track of everyone after she left the Peoria area. Linda Scott says she also is sorry we couldn't meet up this year. And at this time, we do want to remember our 6 classmates who are no longer with us, and they are Barb Boyd, 2020, Martha Cooch Ramsey, 2019, Glenna Jane Tips Harrison, 2019, Karen Hughes, 2015, Vicki Hodel, 2009, and Pat Roth Papalamatis, 1993. As we remember our classmates, we have chosen to read this. Don't cry for me, I will be okay. Heaven is my home now, and this is where I will stay. Don't cry for me, this is where I belong. I want you to be happy and try to stay strong. Don't cry for me, it was just my time, but I will see you someday on the other side. Don't cry for me, I'm not alone. The angels are with me to welcome me home. Don't cry for me, I have no fear. My pain is gone. Jesus took my tears. Don't cry for me, this is not the end. I'll be waiting here for you when we meet again. Many of you express hope that we can be together next year and bring plenty of photos. It's been great visiting with all of you. Please plan to attend the reunion next year so we can continue our story after 51 years. Thank you.
Welcome to the Methodist Alumni Reunion. This year marks the 120th year since the founding of the first nursing program at Methodist. It was the Deaconess Hospital School of Nursing, and the first graduating class was in 1902. Wonder what they would think today if they could take a tour of the hospital and look how far this college has come. We now have expanded into a full health sciences college with the recent addition of the medical and life sciences program, which may produce future providers of care to join us caring for those who need it the most. The purpose of the Alumni Board is to support and mentor future graduates, to promote a strong relationship between the alumni and the college, advance the needs of the alumni along with meeting college goals and supporting and engaging our alumni, and lastly, to develop an awareness of Methodist history, accomplishments, programs, and offerings. Recently in 2019, I was asked to present on the history of nursing at Methodist College. As an alumni, I was honored to provide this information. The problem was how to shorten it to 1 hour. I had a great turnout and lots of great questions. I will make this available soon on the website for all to view. Each year, the alumni are engaged with the students in back-to-school events, our Ollie-Palooza kickoff, where we provide popcorn and talk with the students and families. We have an alumni roundtable where we bring students in the Parliament and get a chance to interview former alumni about their careers and career paths that they have taken since graduation. We also host a luncheon for the graduating seniors and provide them with gifts from the luncheon and encourage them to become a part of the Alumni Association. Last year, we had a get-together at the Louisville Slugger Complex and enjoyed hors d'oeuvres and fellowship. We've also had a wine tasting event a few years back with vendors who provided demonstrations of their products as we strolled past. There's a lot that could be done with your help. Each year, we graduate anywhere from 60 to 100 new healthcare professionals ready to start their careers, and I encourage them not to forget from whence they came. The springboard for great things, as many of you have lived and are living. We recently established the Seafree Nursing Scholarship developed by a former graduate of the college, showing how much the alumni want to give back to their community and the college. A second scholarship was started by a graduate of the college, John Cation, who wanted to give back to the college. And last year, we had the Diane Vance Memorial Scholarship, who was started by her husband. Recently, our librarian, Michelle Nielsen-Ott, received a grant from Illinois State Library to digitalize our history. She has gathered many pieces of history of the college and worked diligently to preserve many donated items and memorabilia that people have donated. This is what drove my presentation to the Riverfront Museum. If anyone has anything they would like to donate to the college for this purpose, please let one of us know. Each month, the Alumni Board meets on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. here at the college. We would enjoy having those of you who are interested in the board to join us. Please contact Megan Smith, and she will add you to the list of the contacts. Once again, congratulations to the class of 1970. The class of 1980 is right on your footsteps, and I look forward to sitting there and celebrating mine. I want to leave you with one thought. The word alumni means a graduate or former student of a college. I think they were wrong. I believe it means achievement. Remember all you have achieved and where you were when you began as an RN. Lifetime. The commitment is for a lifetime. I started mine in 1980, and I've never looked back and wished I had done something different or wanted to start over. Utilize. Utilize your resources within this college to assist you whenever you need it. There's always a group of people who will support you. Mentor. Take the time to mentor those who are still in the ranks of student nurse. You can remember what you went through and where you were, and they probably need just a little encouragement once in a while. Give back and always be available to share your story. This can start with the Alumni Board and getting involved to continue to support the institution that gave you your wings. Name drop. Remember this: Methodist College, Methodist School of Nursing, Methodist Hospital School of Nursing, Methodist College of Nursing, whatever it was when you graduated. Whenever you're asked where you went to school, drop that name. Even though there are many things maybe that you didn't always like about that college, wasn't a straight path that you had, but you still walked out here with a degree that's led you to great things. Inspire. Inspire all those you meet and care for to go for their dreams. We all did, and they are now. So make sure that you share that with your community, your family, your friends, your colleagues, and the world. Once again, thank you very much for attending.